Clayface! Who would not want to see a live-action Clayface? And obviously, when we talk about the Clayface that we know, the big monster, you know, that changes shapes, shapeshifter, does all kinds of things, pretty fantastical. So when it comes to that character, you think, okay, it's not going to show up in Matt Reeves' Batman. That would be more for the DCU Batman. Makes sense, right? Of course it does. Yes, absolutely. Mike Flanagan pitches pick on Clayface to Warner Brothers DC The Dish. Okay, exclusive. Dr. Sleep, filmmaker Mike Flanagan has pitched a feature version of Clayface over the studio. Several sources tell Deadline, however, no word on green light yet. And the studio has not said no. There are no offers and no deals. Though typically a DC supervillain in a Flanagan pick, should it move forward, he wouldn't be a bad guy. So we hear. Obviously, you got to make it somewhat of a good guy. So kind of just talking about that in this article right here. And then it said, that said, other sources are telling us that scripts are constantly changing and that Clayface is a big addition to Matt Reeves' The Batman 2. What? Let's start thinking about this one here. Obviously, if we're thinking about the Clayface that we all think about when we hear the name Clayface, we think about, you know, animated series, the games, and, you know, just the way that the character is now. But we must not forget, and we talked about this on Batman the Fanimated Stream, that first episode when it came to the Clayface Part 1 and Part 2. We talked about this, Scott and I. We talked about this because mustn't we forget that when it came to that character, that's when they revamped Clayface, okay? We obviously think about the big monster, and that's in Batman the Animated Series, they revamped the character because it was not like how the character was first brought onto the page when it came to the comic books. He was not like that, okay? They took elements. There's been 3 Clayfaces, I think. I think if I'm remembering correctly. So there's been Mr. Carlo and then Mr. Hagen. And Basil Carlo was the actor. He was the actor that was like losing his shit, becoming a madman. And then, of course, we had Mr. Hagen, Matt Hagen, who the character ended up being. And like they kind of combined that in Batman the Animated Series where he was the actor. And, of course, you watch the episode. The first part is just magnificent. It's top tier Batman the Animated Series. So they could really, but if they were to go with this version right here, when it comes to the Basil Carlo version of Clayface, I mean, essentially it's just the actor who loses his shit because the fact of the matter is like they're going to be remaking some of his movies and he becomes this like serial killer, and obviously there's some things that happen to him as well. I mean, you could take something right here and use that, and this definitely fits in Matt Reeves' universe. This could definitely fit in there. Look at that right here. Look at this. Look at how grotesque and creepy that looks right there. You could have something like that. And he even talked about if we get Matt Reeves adapting Clayface in this epic crime saga, it would very likely be, as he describes himself, unwinding the fantastical and see, well, how could they make sense here? That would give us an original Golden Age Clayface. So people need to look at that Golden Age Clayface. And this is from Jackson Durr right here. Incredible job. So we talked about that. That's what I was really digging about the whole Mr. Freeze thing. I'm like, how can Matt Reeves break down the fantastical of that character and fit it into his world? And when it came to Clayface, again, we're all thinking about the Clayface that we know and love now, that Batman the Animated Series revamped, but we don't think about that Golden Age Clayface because we just don't think about it. We don't think about that Golden Age Clayface. And I think Matt Reeves would be thinking about that Golden Age Clayface right there. And it absolutely fits into his world. And I'm down for it. I actually hope that that's the case. But of course, Mr. Mike Flanagan did say that, hey, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes here, people. Pump the brakes. Right there. Responding to Clayface. The news today is entirely speculative. When or if something like that ever becomes real, I promise I'll tell you guys. Smiley face. Huh. That's a little interesting. So it's like, where is this going to play? Where could he place? It could be very well an Elseworlds type movie in the vein of Joker Or it could be a Matt Reeves universe. I don't know. Or you can add the fantastical version over here in the DCU.